Hey everybody, how's it going? My name is Melissa and this is my channel Geeky Witch about all things cross stitch in my life. Today is April 19th, 2025. It is a absolutely beautiful Saturday here in Rhode Island. It's supposed to get into the mid 70s, somewhere for those of you outside of the US, 20s, like perfect weather where it's just nice and comfy and you can be outside and it's not humid and the bugs aren't out yet, so it's like I want to be out all day today. So that's coming. I can't wait. But yes, beautiful weekend. It's definitely spring and the energy is just glorious. I love this time of year, so I am embracing every bit of it. I have a lot to show you because of, oh, that's Toby, the other way. I have a lot to show you because it's been a busy 3 weeks since I last filmed. I've had 2 virtual retreats. I've had 3 starts since then, and there's a lot going on, and it's been good. It's really been good. So I'm going to get right down into it, and this will not be one of my normal episodes where I try to time it to a half hour. I'm kind of just going to go until I talk about everything. So I apologize if this video is too long for you, but if I don't do all of this now, stuff, you'll also see stuff is going to scatter to the winds and I won't be able to do it later. So, all right. First off, retreats, schedules, whatnot. I'll talk about that first. The last weekend of March, I was attending the Stash Nash by Lindy Stitches, which was a 2-day virtual retreat with basically as an excuse to start something you bought at the Nashville market this year. And if you didn't want to start anything, that's cool. Just hang out and stitch. Very casual event. It was honestly just what I needed. It was like no requirements, just hang out and stitch. You know, if you want to get involved with the speed dating that they have where you meet people impromptu for like 5 minutes, awesome. If you just want to hang out in stitch rooms, awesome. If you just want an excuse to watch what everybody else is doing, awesome. I just needed it. And it was kind of one of those things that's like, even if I only attend for like an evening, it's cheaper than going to the movies. So it was worth it to me. So I did have a start that weekend. And while I was at that weekend, I had a bit of the FOMO, the fear of missing out, because they showed what was going to be happening at the Spring Mingle, which is coming up on the 2nd to the 4th of May. It's another virtual event. And Hands-On Design is going to be teaching the finishing for an adorable new piece called This Bee's Got Knees. And it's one of those square cushions that she's done several of. And it's so freaking cute. And I'm like, okay, fine. I'll go to another virtual retreat. Plus, it was very reasonable cost-wise. It was like, it's $10 to attend the retreat. And then if you wanted to do the class, it was like an extra $30. So $45 retreat for the weekend, fine. No big deal. Anyway, one of the things that they did do, and let me grab it because I'm slightly disheveled this morning. Maybe I didn't put it over here. Oh, well, I'll show a copy of a previous year's, because I know it's in here somewhere. I'll find it as I go through everything. They also, during the retreat, had a review session on the cookbook that was released at Nashville. And I did not know, because I was like, oh, it's a cookbook. I don't know if I want to get a cookbook. And then I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'll get the cookbook. I didn't realize that the cookbook had a ton of little cute stitching projects throughout it in there, like that are perfect for exchanges and ornaments and just, oh, I've got scraps of fabric. Let me just do a cute little small. So if you haven't gotten, this is the 2023 version. After I got the 25, I went back and bought the last two. I found somebody who still had them in stock. They're $10. Small book of, I can't open it and show you pages because you will actually see charts because there's that many of them. But tons of recipes by everyone who opted to put something in, and tons of patterns. And some of us did cook some of the stuff from the cookbook, and they were reviewing it at the retreat, and they've come out well. Lots of just fun, cozy gathering and weekend meal kind of stuff. So definitely recommended if you weren't sure what this was all about. It has patterns. But yeah, I can't actually open and show you because it is the actual charts and not like the finished photos. I'm like thumbing through here to see if there's any that I can show you, but they are just the charts. But recommended purchase for you. If you didn't buy one this year, keep an eye out for it next year because I'm sure they'll have one at Nashville again. So that retreat went fine. Got me to go to the next one, which is going to be the first weekend of May. I'm sure you can still jump in on that one. I'll put the link in below. And in the middle of that, I had the Black Needle Stitching at Downton retreat, which was set up as it's a virtual retreat, but much more casual than the Frogwarts retreat that I attend in July. They still had very similar stitching challenges. They had stash dives where they give you a list of 20 things and you need to find it either online if it was a digital dive, or the stash dive where I got to dig through all of those magazine files you see back there that have charts and magazines and whatnot of mine. Make a mess of your stash room, discover things that you forgot you had, which happens to me all the time. And it was a good retreat. It was a really good retreat. I chatted with folks. I did a ton of stitching, which I will show you. And I drank a ton of different tea. I was like, I'm not going to do soda. I'm not going to do alcoholic drinks, although I did do one. And I drank a ton of tea. So, of the teas that I drank, I will recommend my favorite of the weekend was the Downton Abbey, because I bought the Downton Abbey teas. I'm not sure what happened to this can. It must have fallen. The Downtown Estate Blend. It's Earl Grey with vanilla. I've heard that while this one's branded to Downton Abbey, the Republic of Tea also sells it as Earl Greyer in its normal line. But really good. So smooth. Smelled so good. And it was a very cozy tea to drink while I was stitching. So, and it got me nice and hydrated during the retreat. So, very nice retreat. It was much more laid back than Frogwarts, even though it had the challenges because you weren't competing for points. In the case of the Downton Abbey retreat, they set goals to, if everybody in the retreat collectively stitched a certain amount at certain levels, they were going to donate money to PBS, which is awesome. And I believe the final result was, it was either 700 or 900 they donated to PBS, which is fantastic. So, and there was a ton of stitching. I think it was over 100,000 stitches for the weekend between everybody. So very, very cool. I will definitely be doing that retreat again. And I have that retreat box to show you. I have my normal Black Needle box that I subscribe to show you. So those are both over here. But first, let me get into the stitching. What I've done, what I'm doing, what is in short-term plans. And yeah. Okay, so let's get into this. The current piece, let's see. All right. Well, let's do new starts. And things are kind of scattered around here a little bit, so pardon me. Okay. So for the Downton Abbey retreat, the piece, and this came in the box, so this is the first box reveal. This is the piece called I Am a Custodian, and it is the center panel of what will be an ongoing building sampler in Rhode Island style. With the Rhode Island style has these big homes that are featured with kind of the scroll work and whatnot. So this, of course, is Downton Abbey, and you've got the servant's bell up here, and it's kind of got a little bit of that Art Deco look going around. So this is a unfinished design, but honestly, if something happened, it's finished enough. You could have it as a standalone. So I did this piece for about, sorry, just knocked my monitor there. I did this stitch piece for about half, a little bit over half of the stitching challenges. And this is how much I got done during the weekend. So I started this on the Saturday. On the Saturday. So I started it on, or actually Friday, the 9th. I don't remember. All the days are blurring together. This is on 32 count Dune from Atomic Ranch. It's part of the Rogue stitching line. And so far, all of this is in DMC. On the pattern, the one thing that isn't in DMC on this is the outline, the dark, what looks like black that isn't actually black. That is in Gentle Art Cinders. And you're going to see that, how it stitches up on another piece very, very shortly. But I'm really happy. It's a beast of a house on this thing. But so much of it is just in straight lines and squares that it's really not that painful to stitch. So there's that so far. And like I said, that will develop. It eventually, this area of it is like, the design size is 131 by 132. The final design is 195 by 195. So, you know, there's going to be just like maybe 2 to 3 more inches surrounding it all the way around. But it's going to be awesome. And I'm looking forward to seeing how that develops over time. Let me put that on the floor, because like I said, there's a lot of stitching here. Okay. Next up, I will show you my start at Nash Stash. So this is an ode to libraries, and by Heartstring Samplery. And if you can't see on the screen that you are watching this on, it's the very existence of libraries affords the best evidence that we may yet have hope for the future of humanity. And this, when it's finished, will sit somewhere very comfortably in my bookshelves because it just is that perfect kind of a piece. So I started this for Nash Stash. I've had this for a little bit longer because, like a couple other pieces I have, they were, you know, exclusive releases in boxes or through connections, whatnot. This one came in a black needle box, and then the designer obviously has to wait for a little bit, and then they can release it at market later. So this was released for Nashville 2025, and I figured, hey, I've got it, I might as well start it. So I am stitching this on Ann Niven, or Ann Niven, probably Niven, by Ship's Manor. This is 32 count even weave. And I pulled floss from stash. If I had the called for, I used it. If I didn't, I grabbed something as close as possible. So this is what I got done during that first weekend. And it's moving right along, and I've got fuzz on it because I can see it on the screen. So very, very happy with this one so far. Easy stitch so far, and it's going to look awesome when it's done. And that's about, yeah, that's actually the entire width of it, because I got that first full line in. So that's how wide it is. It's not, it's funny because it looks a little bit bigger in the picture, but I'm not sure what they stitched the model on. So there's that one. Very happy. That will hopefully be a quick stitch. I may bring this one. This might be a good one for me to bring to like fall retreats, because I think I could probably pound this out over a few good days of stitching. All right, so there's that one. And the final new start this year, this 3 weeks, month, however long it's been, is Mirror Mirror. And I impromptu had a, you know what, I should do an April Fool's Day start. I haven't done a lot of starts this year. I was saying at the beginning of the year I was going to do all of these starts. I was going to start anything I wanted, and then I haven't really done the starts. So I need an excuse for a start. April Fool's Day. Let's start something that is funny, snarky, goofy, whatever. Just something that fits the overall feeling of April Fool's Day and pranking and just being a little off-center. And I knew just the piece that I already had partially kitted in stash that has been partially kitted in stash quite possibly since we moved into this house, or just soon afterwards. So 20 years? I know. I had the floss and the pattern together in one of those poly envelopes that I used to use as project bags. Didn't have any fabric with it, but that wasn't that hard to find since I have a good stash. I was like, you know what? We're starting this. It's been sitting here waiting impatiently for eons. It's time to get this thing started. And it's kitted. What's wrong with me? So this is Mirror Mirror by Abby Lane Designs. And if it's not coming up clear in the screen, it says A, B, C, D, E, etc., 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 1, 2, 3, and a whole lot more. Mirror, mirror on the wall, what the bleep happened. Where you get to type out all of the different things for the word that you know is bleeped. As I said, I've had this kitted up for a good 20 years, and it was just sitting there waiting for me. This is a pattern from like 2004, so I don't know if it's still around anywhere, but you never know. Things pop up. So, but it's super, super cute. And this one, when I'm done, actually, I will probably do a, hey, does anyone want it? Because obviously it is a perfect one, and it's not a big stitch. So I probably will gift that off to somebody. So this was already kitted up, fully kitted up with the called for colors, which are all like Gentle Art, I think, or Weeks. It's one or the other. And I am doing mine on 40 count. Let me read my notes here. 40 count Garden Party, even weave from Bestitch Me. And that's what I got done on April Fool's Day. That is the entire length of the left-hand border. So that's it. It's not, again, not a big piece. It's only like 130 stitches long and like 90 wide. So it's nice, quick little piece. Good for a one-day stitching start. And that will come back out during Sampler September because it still qualifies as a sampler. So those are the new starts. 3 in 3 weeks, not too bad. And it did wind up being, it was like almost 1 start a week. Quite cozy. All right, so what else have I been stitching on? Well, I honestly couldn't remember if I've done any work on Water Garden since I last videoed, so I pulled it out just in case. I probably have done a little bit. I am still behind on my stitch along, but I'm always going to be behind on a stitch along. So it's now on the big hoop. It's on the quilter's hoop. This is Water Garden, and it is being done on 28 count antique white. And I am doing, there's 2 options to do this, where the blues are either in silk or they're in DMC. I am doing the DMC. And so I am almost done with part 2 of the stitch along. They are now on part 4. But once I get past this, a lot of it starts being more straight lines where I can really run. So hopefully I will make some good progress on this, but I needed a break. It's an intense stitch. So I needed a break to be able to do other things for a while. But yeah, that's where Water Garden is right now. And I will be getting back to this shortly to try to wrap up part 2. I've got just another darker color to surround here. And then there are some green leaves that people doing the stitch along have been calling snails, because they kind of do look like snails. I've got those to do, and then I'm done with February's part, and then I can continue running it. But I need the room to run, which is why it's on the big hoop. This hoop, by the way, does fit very, very comfortably on my Lowry frame. And just to make sure I have some extra support for it, I bought one of those extender bar supporters for my Lowry, just to make life easier. So, yep, that's where Water Garden is. This will be coming out off and on all year. I will put that down. Okay, and for other stitch alongs, these Tudor Rose Sampler Guild had their final gathering for Mary Foch, which is a sampler that was released slowly in parts since last September. And then it was finally released at market again. This was another Nashville start I could have done, but I'd already started it, so I felt that was cheating. So we were kind of like the guinea pigs to stitch on it, as Sylvia from Running with Needles and Scissors was getting it charted and out there. So this is Mary Foch, and she is a beautiful sampler that was done by an 8-year-old girl in 1821. I continue to just be astounded by what little kids could do back in the day, and especially with, no good lighting and sometimes probably somewhat questionable supplies, and yeah. But beautiful autumn color sampler. Oops. And again, if you're having difficulty reading the verse, it says, "All you, my friends, who now expect to see a piece of marking thus performed by me, cast but a smile on this my best endeavor. I'll strive to mend and be obedient ever." And then it says Mary Foch, her work, aged 8 years, 1821. And I am particularly loving this one because, as someone not of the faith, it's very difficult to find samplers from back then that aren't biblical. And I get it. That's part of reproduction samplers. But to find one that isn't overtly religious is kind of nice for me, because it's just a little easier for me to stitch without going, can I change the verse? I don't want to change the verse because it's a reproduction, Anyway, so that's the pattern. And I have to date only been stitching on this when my guild has gotten together for their stitch-alongs, so it's really gotten about 12 hours of work on it, because we only have gotten together once a month for like 90 minutes. So it hasn't gotten a ton of work on it, but again, this will start getting into my rotation with samplers, and I'm very happy with it so far. So this is what it looks like so far. Those colors are dark, but once I get the strawberries and stuff that are in there, I think it's gonna soften that back out. But samplers had odd colors. This is 46 count oat from Fiber on a Whim. So much smaller stitches. It is stitched over 2, including the verses, by the way, are over 2. A lot of the reproduction samplers seem to have all of the verse work over 1. This one is entirely over 2. And super, super pretty so far. So that will be going into my sampler rotation. All right. Okay. And so now we're done with our gatherings on that. Tudor Rose has a new stitch along. They're going to be starting over the summer with the blue flower, and it's that really pretty little dome-shaped 3-dimensional stitch that came out. I'm forgetting the name of it. I'm sorry. It's Garden something. That came out last year or the year before. So we're going to be stitching on that starting in June, July, somewhere in there. So definitely a fun get-together. Okay. Next up, what do I got? Let's do WhipGo. So I am behind on my WhipGo. I was doing great through February, and then March hit, and as expected, I start falling behind for a bit because my work schedule gets really, really weird in the spring. I have a lot of work that comes piling up, and I don't stitch every day like I do the rest of the year. So it just kind of falls off. Whatever. So my my March pieces, I had Book of Ink Circles, and I'm drawing a blank on the other one, but the other one I finished. So I finished the stitches on that. Book of Ink Circles I haven't finished yet. And Book of Ink Circles, for some reason, is a piece that I don't know why. It's hard for me to keep it moving. I love the piece. I'm not doing difficult stitching, but I'm kind of trudging on it, and it's a bit annoying. Yeah, you just have those pieces. I think I'm on one of those stitching blocks with it. So I have to just kind of keep pushing myself forward on it, and it's like, yeah, I'll get there. It's gonna move faster in a bit, but I'm kind of doing some drudge work right now, and I got to get through the drudge work on it. Some pieces get that way, I guess. So this is what Book of Ink Circles will look like when done. I'm sorry, I don't have a color copy of it. I ran it off here at the house. This is a free chart. You can go on Ink Circles' website, and in her, I think it's a page that's called Goodies. You can find the entire chart there. And this was a stitch along back in like 2008, 2009. And I watched people do it back then. And I started mine before I had Max, and then it stalled because I got off on a miscount and I didn't want to deal with it. And so it went in timeout for about 3 years. Partially because at that point I had a toddler, and I was just happy if I got time to stitch. So this is what it looks like right now. I am doing it in the stitch along order, so I am doing the border first, and this is done in the Cinders floss that I mentioned from the Downton Abbey piece earlier. So this is what Cinders looks like stitched up, and It is not quite black. It actually is a deep red black. And every once in a while, this is one of those flosses where you do want to do each X by itself if you can. If you don't, not a big deal. But this is one of the ones that it's better to do each X on its own so that you can get the really, really, really subtle pops of red, because it does look like the embers of a fire, where it'll be that steady color and then there'll just be this little red pop that will show up for like a stitch or two, and then it goes back. So yeah, it's a really, really, really pretty floss, and I don't even know if that red is coming up on the screen, but so I am almost done with the border. I'm obviously finishing those last squares down here. I've got to finish the motif here, the motif here, the motif here, and then there's a motif over here that looks like this one. Once I get those in, then it's just a matter of filling in each square, and that's where my color play can get fun. I am not doing this in the called for colors, and I'm gonna create it as I go a little bit, but that's what that looks like. This is on 28 count Silkweaver Thunderstorm linen. It does have a little bit of damage to the fabric, thanks to having cats and being lazy at some point and leaving it out. So there's a few snags here and there, but it just is going to make it look battle scarred, and that's okay. So that is Book of Ink Circles. Okay. Then we go into, my WhipGo this year, my goal on each of the pieces on WhipGo was to do 1,000 stitches. And I'm not a hardcore stitch counter. I'm just not. And especially since I don't use Pattern Keeper, I use paper patterns. I am a old school stitcher in that regard. I like to disconnect as much as possible from technology and just like be able to just go anywhere and stitch. If I want to go to the coffee shop, if I'm on my commuting train, whatever. I don't want to have to worry about, oh, can I, get this to come up? Give me pieces of paper and a highlighter, let me go. Which is a little more of a pain in the butt for counting stitches. But I have to admit that I find I actually make more progress when I count. I don't know why, but I do make more progress when I count. So I figure, you know what, on things like this where it's a challenge, where I want to make progress, I'm going to count. So I have just a general, I'm doing 1,000 stitches on each project, preferably in the month that it's called. This one's late, but that's okay. And then, hey, that's 1,000 stitches I didn't have in there before, and depending on the piece, 1,000 stitches can make a lot of difference. And that's about, I'm a slower stitcher. There's some people who could be like, I could do that in a night. Awesome. I can't. 1,000 stitches for me is about a 3-day work, because I get about 300 if I'm having a good night. So that's a nice amount of time to focus on a piece. Okay, so moving on to April WhipGo. During the Downton Abbey retreat, as I mentioned, there were those stitching challenges. And the way those stitching challenges work is there's an hour blocked, and it's usually, in the case of Downton Abbey, it was connected to an episode. So, we were watching the first 2 seasons of Downton Abbey in order. And then during these blocks, you would have, this event happens during this episode, stitch on a piece. One of the things was stitch on a piece with a ship for the very first episode that deals with the Titanic. Or it may be, stitch on a piece with writing, stitch on a piece that has the word wed in it and it's in parentheses, so you have to find something that actually has wed in it, and it could be part of a bigger word. So if it had, wedded, whatever. I haven't had enough coffee yet, but you get the idea. So you could pick a piece that would fit that challenge. And for this year, the main Downton Abbey, I Am a Custodian piece also fit all of the challenges, but that's not always the case for these Black Needle retreats. Usually you will have to come up with a couple of different pieces for it to count for the decreased number of stitches in an hour. The goal is you get like a point for every 25 stitches you do in the hour. If your piece doesn't fit the retreat or fit that prompt, you have to do 50 to get a point. Not a big deal. All right, so I was looking through the prompts and realized that one of my WhipGo pieces for April fit a good number of the prompts. I think it fit like 7. So it was like, I'll get my WhipGo stitching started during the retreat. Why not? Double dip on this. So one of my two WhipGo pieces for this month is Coming to America from Brenda Gervais with Thy Needle and Thread. This was released in 2020 for the 400th anniversary of the sailing of the Mayflower to the U.S. And I am doing mine on 36 count Ren linen, but when I started it, I wasn't paying attention and didn't realize that the Ren linen was only textured on one side. And I did it on the back. Oops. But I'd gotten far enough along on the piece by the time I realized it and said, you know what, screw it. I'm not starting over and I'm not picking this out. We're just going to deal with it. So this is what side I should have been stitching it on. And you see there's just a very subtle modeling. And I am doing it on the flat side. But it's fine. Whatever. All right, so this is Coming to America. And I'm doing this in the called for kitted colors. And for this challenge, so far, what I did, again, 1,000 stitches, I focused entirely on getting the boat here in. The rest of this was all in. And I do have, I don't know how well it's coming up on screen, but the sails are here. I still need to outline them a little bit like you see here. And they will have a running outline because I know they're disappearing into the fabric. But yeah, for this, it just made sense to do what essentially was easy stitching and just run the boat across. So that is moving right along and I'm happy. And I've got about 600 of the 1,000 done. So yeah, I will get a really nice amount of progress on this with 1,000 stitches. I'm hoping that I can wrap up the boat, and there's a couple of flags and a couple more seagulls floating around there. So I'm hoping I can wrap all that up and then I can start moving down to this panel. And once that panel's done, this is going to fly because it's just all text. So will this be a finish this year? No. Will it get a lot done? Yeah. Again, especially with Sampler September coming up. Oop. So there's that one. And finally, my other WhipGo piece for April, which I haven't started yet, but I'll show you what it is Hyperborea from Owl Forest Embroidery. And that is the pattern. This is a piece that could be bought in individual squares, or it could be bought like this as one big triptych, which I really, 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 really loved. And I bought this as a kit. So the fabric, the floss, everything came from Owl Forest. It is a 32 count even weave. I don't know the color, but it's kind of a pretty, not quite a slate blue. Well, maybe it's kind of like a Wedgwood blue, you know, the Wedgwood china pieces. It's kind of that blue. So solid blue. The floss is from Owl Forest, and that is where I am at. That owl was a bit of a bear to stitch. There's a lot going on there, and a lot of weird little counting, and I had a couple of mistakes. I think the head is still a little bit small, but it works. So that's where that's at. And I still have my stitches to do for that. And I have a cat who is desperately coming up to say hi. So we are going to have a temporary stitch break, and I'm going to bring up the chonk. This is Leia. Leia is my crazy cat lady starter pack. She came into our house. She was somewhere between, like, I want to say 6 and 9 months old when she came in. She was a dumped cat. She had a collar on that was far too small for her. We live near a very big park, so I know people dump their animals in there. She showed up at our back door hungry and pregnant, as, you know, 6 to 8 month old female cats are wont to do if they are not neutered. And we brought her in under the, oh, we'll be able to find homes for her kittens. We did. They all still live with us. So the crazy cat lady starter pack. We named her Leia after Princess Leia because she was the itty bitty kitty committee all on her own. She had 4 kittens, and 3 survived, and the 3 cats that survived are Luke and excuse me, Kylo and Ray, and their brother who did not make it we posthumously named Han. And she is every bit a calico, and she loves her kibble, and decided that she wanted to regain her pregnant physique, and so she is a chonk, and we are working on de-chonking her a little bit. Yes, I know. Oh my goodness, you just want all the lovings. So Leia is now about 6 years old, and she is, as you can see, a very loving girl. She's a very opinionated girl because she is a girl cat and she's a calico, which means that she knows what she knows, and you are going to know what she knows and what she thinks. And she always looks a little bit angry just because of her coloring. Hi, I'm filming a video. Can I go back to my video now? I would appreciate that. Here we go. I guess today we're going to have a cat break. But not for too long because, yeah. All right. You also need your claws done and you're sharp. Yes, and now she's purring. She's like, but mommy. All right. Oh, one last piece I didn't show you. And I'll grab it before Leia furs it on my desk. One of the things that Black Needle Society... Hi. We're just going to roll with this. Present the butt. Yeah, okay. Black Needle Society is doing a stitch along for, and a few other people do this too, of picking a piece when it rains or, you know, that you have inclement weather and you do some progress on that piece. I finally decided to jump in on this as we were getting quite a bit of rain. And I decided that Fruit of Plenty is going to be my rainy day project for the rest of the year, since I wanted to get a ton of stitches in on it. So I am currently working on finishing this medallion over here. So during the rain that we had in March, I finished off the brown to do the medallion. I now have some blue to fill in. And yeah, I'll keep working this through. This is on 42 count, or sorry, 42 count, 40 count antique ivory linen from Silkweaver. The floss is DMC 800, which is the light blue, and 840, which is the brown. And I'm doing the whole piece in just 2 colors. So that's what that one looks like. You're just going to sit on my desk now, aren't you? Okay. Welcome to having cats. I'm sure those of you who have cats can relate, but this is my life. Hi. Yes. All right. So now that I have that out of the way, and that's all my stitching for the time being, plans coming up. Obviously, we're a couple of weeks away from Stitch Mania, and I have decided that I'm going to be doing starts. I am going to do a true Mania, and I'm going to start things. I have a bunch of stuff that is kitted up already in stash between things I've gotten from, retreats where they were the make it take it's kind of things. The round robins at Celebration Needlework, which were all very small, like ornament sized smalls, where we got full little kits. I've got a bunch of those. I have other projects that I've been kind of casually kitting up. I'm going to get some of these going and have a true Mania. Whether or not I'm going to do the original, 15, or go by the year and do 25 and 25, I haven't decided yet. We'll see how the month goes. But there'll be at least 15. And we'll kind of go from there. But I'm doing a true Mania this year. I am going to start things. I will work on them for a day, and we'll see where we get. So my next episode is probably going to show you things that I have in the box ready to start, and we'll see where I get over the course of the month. So that's my plan for May. For those who go to Celebration and Needlework in Nashua, New Hampshire, it is on the weekend of the 17th of May. I believe that's the Saturday. It runs from like that Thursday through Sunday. And Nashua, New Hampshire, I can't remember. I want to say it's at the Doubletree in Nashua. It used to be at a Courtyard Marriott, and then they moved. Again, not an expensive retreat to go to for the 3 days. It's like $55 for the membership. If you do want to do classes, those are a higher cost. I don't know if they're still available. They may have closed, but I will put the link below. So if you're in the New Hampshire area, pop in. If the rooms are sold out, don't worry about that. There are like 2 hotels right around the corner from there that you could stay at and easily still attend the retreat. It is a very accessible retreat to get to cost-wise too, because you can find hotels in the Nashua area that are much more to your cost point. So I am not going this year. I originally had a conflict with my son for a karate tournament. It also was the weekend of the Tudor Rose 25th anniversary, and I'd kind of hoped originally to go down to that, and then Max's thing came up, and then I saw Nashua was coming up, and I'm like, how do I get triple booked for a weekend? And in 3 separate states, that takes talent. But now it's going to be, honestly, kind of just a veg weekend for me, because I'm going to need it. Excuse me. So I will not be at Nashua this year. But if you are going, have a great time. And yeah, definitely one that I recommend if you haven't gone to. Oof. Hi. I'm getting rubbed on with authority today. Yes, dear. You are spitting fur like nobody's business. Okay, so let me go into what I've gotten in retreat boxes. No, don't stand on my keyboard. You're going to turn everything off. Go that way. Go that way. Go. Get. Thank you. Okay. So, a little bit of enabling that happened to me over the Downton Abbey retreat weekend. People were talking about needle minders from a company called Flamingo Toes, and they had those as some of the like door prizes giveaways. I'd never heard of Flamingo Toes, but I went onto their website and they had the most ridiculously cute needle minders. And so I had to buy a couple of them because they're needle minders and I need all the needle minders. As you can see, I have a fine selection of needle minders, although quite a few of those are probably going to disappear into project bags during Mania because I keep a needle minder in each project bag because I have plenty of them. All right. The first one I got, I mean, it's a skeleton flamingo. I had to. I've always wanted to get a couple of these for my lawn. Not the original pink ones, the skeleton ones, because they do make them. And it's like, oh my god, I had to get that one. So I got that. And then because I've been on a chicken thing for the last 2 to 3 years, and it creeps my husband out, as I have from the farm, I have my Genya the Henya, named after my mother, because her name was Genuefa when she was born in Germany. But yes, this is Genya the Henya, and I had to get a little miniature Genya. Isn't she cute? She had to come home with me. So, those are available at Flamingo Toes, along with a lot of other really ridiculous, cute needle minders, and they're really pretty. They're, the shiny gold metal with the enamel coloring on them, and they are the good strong magnets. So, definitely recommend. And they came super fast. I ordered them, I think, on Sunday morning, and I had them here on Thursday. So, highly recommend. Fast shippers. All right, so let me now do boxes. So, I wound up, just by sheer chance, because of the retreat and my normal subscription with Black Needle Society, I came home to 2 boxes on the same day from Black Needle. That was a very nice mail day. And the stuff has gotten a little bit jumbled, so I apologize if I do the wrong thing with the box. But, all right. So we will do the subscription box first, which this one was after the rain stitching, rainy day stitching. That was the theme. And let me move that over there. Okay. So, and I will admit that I'm pretty sure a couple of things from this box have gone wandering already. So you might not see everything, but I will show you what I have. First off, this was the pattern that came this month from Counting Puddles. Springtime Sit and Stitch with a teapot. There is like a really detailed Quaker star in there. I don't know if you can see it, but when I stitch this, I may lighten that color a little bit. I haven't decided yet, but cute pattern. Very, very cute. It came with a piece of fabric. Let me get the details because it's not on the thing. Cloudburst cross stitch fabric from Forbidden Fiber, and it was to work with the design, and I think it will. It is a very pretty. Oh, actually, I think the label maybe. No, there isn't a label. Okay, I'll have to do that. 32 count fabric. It's not coming up well on the screen. but it's actually a very pretty, like almost like a pistachio green, but not quite that bright, like maybe mint green. We'll go with that. It's on the lighter side, but a very pretty springy green. We also got a hank of Rainfall thread from Hand Dyed by Yolanda. This is a 25-yard hank. I have used her thread before. I'm using it on my denim band sampler, and her threads are very, very nice, and they're sold in these nice big hanks. So this one reminds me, if you ever watch Project Runway, and if you have, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They had a challenge one time where they had to do outerwear or just, you know, clothing for rainy days. And the winning look was this absolutely gorgeous dress that started white, and then as she walked through the rain, it changed colors and hand dyed and basically self-dyed itself according to what colors he'd placed in the fabric. And the colors that are in that are were in that dress are basically what's in this floss. There's the yellow and the blues and the pinks. So it really reminds me of that challenge on Project Runway. If you haven't seen it, you don't have to watch the episode. Just go onto YouTube and just type in Project Runway rain challenge, and I'm sure it'll come up. And it really is really, really cool to watch. All right, I'm getting off tangent here. We also got a new floss ring, and I have been, when I first started getting these from Black Needle, I wasn't into floss drops. I was still in my I'm going to put everything on bobbins era, and I have since been changed and have been using floss drops. So this is, you might not be able to get the text on it, but isn't it cute? The text on the top of it says "Over the Rainbow Stitchery." These are made, let me get, because I have all the details on the back here on the spoilers. This is, the artwork is from Black Needle. And so they don't say who produced it for them, but this is the 6th in the thread jewelry series, and I know I have at least 4 of these. So, and they're all a little bit different, but super, super cute. And like strong hooks. We also got Rainy Day Stitching candle. These candles burn for about 10 hours. They're just enough. This one almost has a really light gardenia scent to me. Very, very, very gentle. But I've had quite a few of these from them, and they're very nice. They're not like, they smell really strong when you smell them, but when they burn, they're much more subtle, which I like. I got a new coffee mug, the Rain, Rain, Go Away, Come Again Another Day, and a tea infuser shaped like an umbrella. So this is for loose tea. Isn't it cute? This is probably going to go in my work bag to go to work with me. So you put your loose tea in there, put the lid on, and then it'll just hook right onto your cup. Very, very cute. And of course, if you're going to get a tea infuser, you need tea. So this is the After the Rain tea blend from the Black Needle Society. Green tea, black tea, lemongrass, spearmint leaves, lemon verbena, orange, natural lemon flavor, butterfly pea, PEA, thank you. When I read that out to my husband, he was like, why would you drink pea? Because my husband is that type of a guy. Marigold flowers and natural orange flavor. It is a caffeinated tea. I have not done this yet, but that may come up this afternoon while I sit in my backyard with a book. So that is what I have of the Black Needle Society box that has stayed in one spot, because things in this house do wander quickly. Okay, then we get to the retreat box for Downton Abbey. And let me move stuff around here a little bit. Okay. So first off, we have, well, you saw the project that came with it. Then we have a project bag, which I love the Black Needle project bags. They're satin lined. I do have to keep these out of range of my cats because they are cat magnets and they will try to pick at this because it's that vinyl. So that I have to be a little bit careful about. My only critique this year on this bag was that, and it's not that big of a deal, is that the pattern was published in a larger size than Black Needle usually does. Usually they do ones that are the fold over, so they're half page sized. And this year they did a full sheet of paper size. So it doesn't fit in this bag. But that's not a big deal to me. You know, it's my only critique is I couldn't put that project in the project bag that came with the retreat. Whatever. But really pretty bag. It's the same on both sides. And so something of the era will appropriately go in there. I like to keep, I could just use my working printed copy, you know, on paper and put that in with it into there. But I do like keeping the original in with my project just to keep everything together. So, and I don't want to fold it and, you know, trash the original. But yeah, love their project bags. I have a ton of them. And I use them. I don't think I have a single one that's not being used right now. We got a needle minder, which is Violet Crawley, which was played by the very great late Maggie Smith. We got a pair of scissors, the Downton Village Flower Show scissors. Yeah. Plastic here. We received a O'Brien's Regret. If you've watched Downton Abbey, this is a if you know, you know. This is Amber Breeze soap. That it's oh, I should open this because it actually is a really funky looking bar of soap. Look at that. Isn't that fancy? It smells really, really good. That will go up in my bathroom by the sink. Then we got 3 custom color and cotton flosses. So we have which mark things that happened during the, 4 things of floss, of events that were in the first 2 seasons of Downton Abbey. So we have the Titanic disaster. We have the Turkish ambassador found dead in a very pretty Turkish red. We have Great Britain declares war on Germany, which is in kind of a army green. And then we have Spanish flu spreads across Europe. So pretty color and cotton colors. And let's see, did I... one thing I don't have yet, it didn't find its way into my box, but it's coming from the girls because I contacted them, is a thread winder. And where, oh, that's there. Okay. I was like, oh, I have things missing, but I think they just wandered off. We received a beeswax Gwen's typewriter. So it is beeswax shaped like a typewriter. We have a zipper pull for the project bags or whatever you need to. That is from a quote from Violet Crawley, who has all of the best quotes in the series. I have it in a plastic bag, so I'm going to leave it there for right now. But it says, put that in your pipe and smoke it. And it is shaped like the pipe with a little bit of smoke. We have a beautiful piece of purple linen. I have to figure out what I'm doing with this because it is just such a pretty piece of fabric. It is like the perfect lilac purple. The formal name of this one, let me find it on the notes. The Dowager's Hat cross-stitch fabric from Laura's Fabrics. So, very pretty. And finally, and where are they? We received a... Oh, there they are. They're still over here. Okay, we also, because it's Downton Abbey, we got Lord Grantham's Custom Blend tea, which was a very nice Earl Grey with orange and the bergamot. Also had blue cornflowers, toasted mate, and natural cream flavor. I did have this during the retreat, and it was very nice, very smooth, very nice tea. And finally, we received a little binder cookbook, and it came with a number of recipe cards. And I have already made, out of the recipe cards, the Servants' Hall beef stew for dinner, which was fantastic, very hearty, because, well, you know, Servants' Hall, very, very good. And also a pro tip that if you received earlier cards from Black Needle Society for recipes, that the other ones fit in here too. So there were a lot of empties, and I'm sure these will probably have to get moved at some point. I'm wondering if we're getting more recipe cards in later years, or if we were just given a whole ton of extras to put our own recipes in. I'm not sure. But there were a lot of pages that were in here. But yes, I decided to keep these guys together because they keep wandering all over the place. So, and that was the 2 boxes. Yeah, so that catches you up on all of my goodies in recent weeks. Actually, not that bad of an episode, huh? Yeah, so that is all I have right now. If you are going to the Spring Mingle, drop me a line. I would love to sit and chat with you while we're stitching. I am going to attend the class, and I'm planning to attend it on time. I think it's like the Saturday afternoon or something. But I plan on being there a good chunk of the weekend just to stitch and hang out. So drop me a message and I'll meet up. And yeah, that's it for now. So until I talk to you next time, have a lovely time stitching. Drop messages in the comments, say hi, whatever. And I will see you probably right as Stitch Mania starts, where I can show you that insanity. So if you celebrate Easter this weekend, have a lovely Easter. If you were celebrating Passover, I hope that you have a lovely Passover. And if you are just having a good weekend, if you're out doing various things politically or whatnot, stay safe, and I will talk to you soon. Take care, everybody. Bye.